All right. Welcome and good afternoon. This is the EndNote 2025 Work Smart workshop that we're doing here for the spring 2026. We do have multiple of these workshops. Today we're doing EndNote. I think either next week or the week after, they're going to do Zotero. So there are a couple of citation managers that we support and that we teach. Um, so today we're focusing on EndNote and the software that you download onto your computer. It is free for students, faculty, and staff at FIU. If you do leave FIU, you still will have access to the EndNote library, but you just won't be able to upgrade to any newer version of EndNote. My name is Daisy de la Rosa, and I'm an Information Instruction Services librarian at the Herbert Wertheim College of Medicine. And today I'm joined by my colleague.
Hi, my name is Francis Marsili, and I'm a learning and research librarian here at the Green Library.
Perfect. Thank you, Ramses. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, any specific use cases, let us know and we'll answer those questions as they come up. So this is kind of what we're covering today. What is EndNote? Why use a citation manager and why use EndNote specifically? Again, the focus is going to be on the desktop version, although there is an EndNote online component that we'll mention here and there. We'll talk about how to get EndNote and creating a library, which is where you would store your references, syncing that library to your EndNote online account, and then adding references to that library, organizing those references into folders or using tags, using EndNote to format your references in a particular citation style, and then inserting and formatting references in Word, Word Online, and Google Docs. And then we'll briefly talk about sharing a library or a group of references with a colleague to facilitate collaboration, and of course, point you to resources to get help or to learn more. So we typically have a poll around this time. So I don't know, Sabi, if you want to tell, do you use EndNote currently?
No, I use Zotero and
Mm-hmm.
I have used EndNote before, like a long time ago. So I think for my PhD thesis, I used EndNote, but that was like many years ago.
Many years ago. Okay, so you're getting a refresh of the new EndNote today.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. Well, if you have any questions, let us know. There's obviously some comparisons with Zotero, some things that Zotero does a little bit better than EndNote, and then some things that EndNote does a little bit better. Um, all right. So now I'll pass it over to Ramses to talk a little bit about what EndNote is and its
Hi,
different
so
features.
EndNote is reference management software that lives in in your computer, but can also sync in with the cloud. So if by you adding an EndNote online account, it's a tool that helps you like collect, store, edit, organize, and share references. It can also help you store PDFs and other documents that are attached to your corresponding reference. It is a dynamic citation generator, which means, by dynamic, which means it has like hundreds of different, citation sources, and you can change them as you go. If you're using, realize you're using the wrong one, then you can change it as you go. It automatically sets formatted in-text citations and helps you develop a reference list or a bibliography page. And it integrates into Microsoft Word Online, and Google Docs. Now, this is only with the latest ones, EndNote 21 and EndNote 2025. Now, why use EndNotes? So we use it, or we recommend using EndNote or any other citation manager really for several reasons. Primarily, it will save you a lot of time by keeping all of your reference into one place and help you, select or at least group it into, several, groups or folders. It will really save you a lot of time, help you get organized. It does have a lot of storages. You can sync it over multiple devices. You can format your references in any citation style with the click of a button. It helps you collaborate with others by being able to share references. It formats your references in any citation style. Um, And many other citation managers have the same features, but some of the features unique to EndNote include customer support from Clarivet, the same people who are bringing you Web of Science. If an article is being retracted, you do have the option. It does show in there, just in case you'd like to remove that article from your list of sources. In the new EndNote 21, it does have AI takeaways from uploaded PDFs and the ability to cite directly or a quote, cite direct from a direct quote in that PDF. So when you do that as you're writing it. It helps you find articles that have been cited on paper in the Web of Science, find journal tool in Word. And if you're looking for a journal to publish that matches the scope of your paper. So now, a little bit on how some of this work. A little bit later on, I'm going to show you how to do this, but this is just going to look a lot smoother than when I do it. So if you can please click on, you can see the site as you write in motion. So you have a sentence, can link directly from Word to EndNote, and it will just sort of automatically search for and through your EndNote, find your sources and do the in-text citation, and then at the same time you're start building your bibliography page. Boom, voila! It's almost too easy. Now, I think that's. Oh no, I'm sorry. One more thing. So, as all with all other citation managers, it's still the video is still playing. Okay, so as with other citation managers, it does take a little bit of time to learn to use effectively, but it's really worth it once you do. It becomes so easy and so time saving. So it is worth learning how to use it effectively. And you must know citation style enough to know when a citation is incorrect. So EndNote and any other citation managers will not fix mistakes in your reference. And now back to Daisy.
Thank you, Ramses. So like I mentioned before, and I put this in the chat, there is a guide that lives at the FIU Medical Library website. But it doesn't matter. Anybody at FIU, anybody anywhere could access the guide. So on this guide, you're going to see instructions on how to download and install EndNote, how to set it up, add references, edit those references, how to organize, attach PDFs, using Cite while you write, how to share and collaborate. The EndNote 2025 updates are pending, so that is forthcoming. But pretty much everything that we're covering in today's workshop is going to be here step by step. So it's going to be a useful place to go to. So first, how do you get EndNote? So again, the software is free for FIU students, faculty, and staff. And on the guide, I've tried to put notes here on where in the guide you'll find the instructions. So here, this is going to be under download and install. But basically, you're going to go to the PantherTech website. You're going to log in with your FIU credentials on the top right. And then you would search for EndNote like any other product. Once you locate EndNote, you would select PC or Mac and add it to the cart. View the cart and check out. You're going to review the order. It's going to be $0. And then you'll place the order and you'll get an email with the installer and the product key. So two things to really remember before you install EndNote. First, make sure you close or quit any Microsoft Office programs that are running before you begin the installation. Just to make sure that EndNote toolbar that we were showing in that little video is properly installed into Word. If it's not, then we have to kind of troubleshoot to get it back in there. So make sure all of that is closed. If you're installing EndNote on an FIU device, you may have to contact your IT to give you the permissions to install the software. I know for me, on my FIU device, I have to contact IT for them to put in their credentials to allow the installation and the download of the software. So just some things to keep in mind. This is just a screenshot of what the installation file is going to look like from PantherTech. So it'll be the little invoice, but really what you care about there is going to be the link to the Windows installer and then the product key that it will ask you for. So once you install the EndNote software onto your computer, then you have to create an EndNote library, which is where your references will live. You can create multiple libraries, but we do recommend to only have one. The reason for this is that you can only sync one up to the EndNote Online account. If you sync multiple libraries, it will merge them into one mega library. And that can be a little bit tricky because maybe you have it organized in a certain way, and that can kind of throw that off. Also, if you're working on a Word document and you're trying to pull from multiple libraries, that can corrupt the document over time. It can get confused on where to pull from. So that's why we recommend to just have one library and then have groups or folders to, or, further subdivide your work. Um, Really important. When you're prompted to create the new library, you do not want to save it on any cloud storage. So no iCloud or OneDrive or Dropbox, network drives or USB, because again, this can corrupt the file over time and it may not open. So you want to make sure that you pay attention that it's saving onto the hard drive of your computer. Um, so here are some instructions for PC and Mac. Just make sure you're paying attention because it's going to be a little bit different, the options. But we have some screenshots here of what you can expect to do when you're going to create the new library. And again, you're going to save it onto your hard drive. And when you do create a library, and this is not something you have to do, it will automatically do it for you. It's going to create two file types. It's going to have a .enl file, that's your EndNote library, and then a .data folder. That's the folder for the data that's in the library. So these two file types that are created automatically have to always have the same name and always be in the same subdirectory on your computer. So for example, if you're moving the ENL file to something else, you have to move the data folder with it. If not, the EndNote library may not, um, it might not open anymore or it might not update anymore. I've seen this happen before. It's not great. So make sure that you keep those two always together. And then once you create your library and you're in EndNote for the first time, you want to sync that library to the cloud. Like I said before, you can only sync one library up into that EndNote Online account. Why do you want to do this first? You want to save the library to the cloud so that if something happens to your computer or you get a new computer, all you would have to do is install EndNote, log into your EndNote Online account, and all the references you had before will automatically populate in there. This also allows you to work across multiple devices. So if you have a laptop and a desktop, that EndNote Online account will make sure you have the library in either of those places. To use Cite while you write in a Google Doc or in Word Online, you have to have the EndNote Online account because it's pulling the references from the online version of your library. And of course, to collaborate with others, either sharing your library with a group of people or sharing a group of references, you'll have to use your EndNote Online. So there are currently two versions of EndNote Online or Web, which can be a little bit confusing. You have the EndNote Online Classic. So this is going to be used if you're sharing a group with people. So in order for them to access the shared group of references, they'll have to log into the EndNote Online Classic. For EndNote Online, the EndNote Web, that's for EndNote21 and EndNote25 users. So it's going to be a mirror image of your desktop library. And again, that's what you're going to use for those Google Docs or Word Online to collaborate. So this is kind of a con a little bit for EndNote because they have these two things happening. So hopefully in the future they improve that, especially with the group sharing. But in order to sync it, there are the instructions there for PC and then for Mac as well. When you create your library and you get EndNote, I do want to go to the guide briefly here, because there are a couple of things that you can do that are very easy to help you optimize, make EndNote work for you the best that it can. So syncing your account is one of them. So this is where those instructions are going to be. But even setting up import filters so that things come from databases correctly, adding a journals term list. I think this is one of the most important ones because this will import a list of journal titles that are abbreviated and the full name. So that way, if you're working with citation style that has the abbreviated style, it will automatically switch to the full name or vice versa. So, and to do these, it takes less than 30 seconds, probably to set these up. So I really highly recommend doing this before you start using EndNote. And then before we go live, just wanted to show you the lay of the land and what EndNote looks like and where you should be looking for things. So across the top, you have your menu or your toolbar. So here, those settings that I just mentioned, or how to set up sync, or to find duplicates in your library, all of those things are going to be accessible through that menu toolbar, across the top. And then EndNote is made up of these three panels. The first panel on the left is the groups panel. So you'll see here how many you have, how many references you have in your library, all of your groups, which are basically folders, subfolders, your tags, any groups that you have shared with others are going to be here. In the middle, you have your reference list panel. This is where all the references will be listed that you can just click on so you can open up on the third panel. If you select a certain folder or group, those are the ones that you'll see in the middle here. You also have the option to search within that group of references. And then you have some shortcuts here that we'll show a little bit later. And then on the right, you have the third panel. So this is the summary panel, giving you a summary of the selected reference that you have. It also allows you to edit that reference, right? If you need to. And then if you have to attach a PDF or view the PDF that you've attached to it. I do want to mention that when you're using a citation manager and you add a reference here, you're not adding the full source, right? You're just adding the citation information or the metadata. A second step would be to add the PDF or the source if you want to add that in. So we'll show some examples of that in a moment. And then at the bottom here, you have the preview subpanel. So this is going to give you a preview of what the citation style looks like based on the citation style you have selected here. So I have APA 7th selected. I can switch this to Vancouver or AMA. And you want to check this to see if it's correct. That's why you need to know your citation style. And if it's not correct, you can go back up to edit and make those adjustments, and then look at the preview again. If you don't see this little sub panel here, and it happens on Macs quite often, it might be hidden. So just hold down your mouse and then just drag it up if you don't see it. All right, so now we're going to go live and kind of show how to create the library, adding references, creating those groups, how to add PDFs, talk about how you can remove duplicates and why, searching your library, editing references, and then using EndNote in Word, Word Online, and Google Docs, and then talk about how to collaborate with your colleagues. All right. So here we are. I have a demo library here. So once you go into EndNote, you're going to be prompted if you're going in for the first time, or it may create it already for you to create a new library. If not, you would select File here from the top and then New. And then you're going to select where you want to save this. Again, make sure it's saved on your hard drive. Okay. And I'm just going to rename this and I'm going to hit save. Once I do, it's going to open up a brand new clean library. Right. So there it is. And just know that if I were to go to my desktop right now, I would see the ENL file and the data folder. Again, so there's two folders attached to that. All right, we talked about the settings and where you would do that on the guide and how that could really help you. Syncing your EndNote library, again, is going to be up here at the top. All right. Okay, so now we're ready to add references, right? How do we get to a library that looks like this, right? Where we have these references, we have these groups. So there are a few ways to get references into your EndNote library. Again, you're only getting the reference, you're not getting the full source. That would be a second step. So the two ways we're going to talk about today are direct export and manual entry. There are a few other ways, but those are the two main ways to get stuff into your library. So I'm going to go back to my empty library here. And I do want to mention on the guide, if you go to add references, you're going to see the ones that we're going to do live now. You're going to see a lot of examples here on how to get references from each of these different databases. So I'm going to show a few here. First, I'm going to go into CINAHL, which is a nursing and allied health database, but it lives in the EBSCO platform. So even if you're not health sciences, a lot of the databases at FIU are hosted on the EBSCO platform. So for example, if we search here, let's say graduate students and stress, right? Just a basic search. Okay. And then so let's say that you can either go directly to the source, or you can select it here, for example. And then they're going to have this little cite button here. And a lot of the databases have like a cite button or save or export. So you want to look for those different keywords there. So here they have the export the citation. So EndNote and other citation managers, they have certain file types that they understand. One of them is .irs. Another one for EndNote specifically is ENW, and then .nbib if you're searching PubMed. So you want to look for typically RIS is going to be kind of like the common one. So if you select RIS format, then it's going to go ahead and download. So it downloaded here on my browser. It's going to go to my downloads folder. And then whichever library I have open, hopefully you only have one, it's going to go ahead and add in the reference in there. And then you have all the information that came in from the database. A good moment to mention that just because it comes from the database doesn't mean it's correct. You may have to come in here and make some edits if needed. So make sure you always double check what's getting pulled in from the database. So pretty straightforward there in EBSCO. It's going to be pretty similar in something like ProQuest. That's another database vendor that the library has. So I'm going to select PsycInfo, but again, many of the databases, no matter what the discipline, are going to be they're going to be hosted on ProQuest. Um, okay, so I'm going to do my same search. Right. And then here again, you have the option to select multiple if you wanted to, right? So if we selected these first three, or if you go directly into the record, it will be the same option. It's going to be a cite option here, right? And then you're going to look for that file type. So they have an EndNote file type or RIS. Either one of these will work. Let's go ahead and select EndNote. You can tell it how many, how much of the record do you want to see? Do you want just a citation and abstract? Do you want a PDF link and the index terms? So we'll do that. And then we can hit continue and it'll be the same process. And then after you're working, you can always go to your downloads folder on your computer and just clear it out. So again, once I click on this, all three will come in here. This one came in with an attachment. Not sure. Yeah. Probably because I selected that PDF link. So all three are in there, right? So if we go back to all references, now we start seeing that our library is starting to get built there. And typically when you download EndNote, the RIS files or any of these types of files should open automatically in EndNote. If they don't, you may have to tell your computer, change the default, like for RIS file types, open with EndNote. I've seen this happen with Macs sometimes. Okay, so then what if you're searching PubMed, right? If you are a health sciences person, how do we get these in here? So you can go directly to a record and select Cite here on the right, and then download nbib, and it's going to be the same process, right? We open up the file, and then it's going to go ahead and populate that into EndNote. You can also select multiple at the same time. So if we go, you can either select this way, for example. Or let's say that you're doing a large, like a systematic review or some big project like that. You can do send to citation manager, and then you can do all results, right? And it might take a while, but you can send all the results from PubMed that you got from your search in there. But we'll do just all results on this page, create the file, and then it's going to be the same process. So now we should see 10 more pop in here because that's what was on that page. So that's from PubMed, and just the difference with PubMed is that the file type is different. It's a .nbib file. If you're doing Google Scholar, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. You can select the Cite button here down at the bottom, and then you have the option to either do EndNote or RefMan. Either one of these will work. So if we do EndNote, it'll be the same thing, right? It downloads onto your downloads folder, you open it, and then it populates into our library. If you have multiple, if you want to do like a more bulk from Google Scholar, I believe you do have to log in with your Gmail or your Google account and then hit save. And then you'll be able to kind of export the ones that you have saved if you want to do them all at one time. I did want to mention too that a lot of publishers, when let's say you do a Google search and you come across an article that you want to save, um, they'll have their own options for this as well. Sometimes it'll say like this, like cite this article, save article, export. So if we click cite this article and you hit download citation, it automatically is an RIS. Again, that's the more universal file type. Um, and then it'll be in that folder, in that library that we just created. All right. So what about the FIU catalog? So sometimes you're gonna, okay, so when you are writing a paper, right, and you are using a citation manager, and this goes for any citation manager, you can't just have a couple of things in there that you plan to cite. The best practice is really to have everything that you plan to cite in your paper in your library. So if it's something that's in print or a YouTube video or a correspondence or a conference presentation that you went to and you want to cite that, you're going to have to add it into EndNote. For the case of books, right, even if it's a print book, check the library catalog. If we have it, or even at WorldCat, if we don't have the book, more often they're going to have a direct export option, even if it's not something that's available electronically. So here I looked up this book in the FIU library catalog. It's available in print, but you see that there is an option here to export RIS. There is an EndNote option, but this takes you to the online version of EndNote. So if you want to go to the desktop, you would select export RIS, select download, and then it'll be the same thing. So now we have this print book also in our library as well. And we may have to come in here and do some cleaning up potentially with any reference that does tend to happen, especially with books or things like that. And then you have an option where there is no direct export. What do you do? So this is when you would do that manual entry. So here we have a website on managing stress, right? This is from the CDC. So what we would do here in order to get this into our library, if we go back here, is that we would click on this little clipboard with the plus sign to create it basically from scratch. Right? So it's going to be just a form that you fill out. You have to make sure you select the correct reference type. The default is journal article. So if, that page from the CDC, it's pretty much a web page. You have to be careful though, because although things may live on a web page, it might be, a government document or a report, or a podcast, right? Or a newspaper article. They might live on the web, but you have to select the proper reference type for the material. Because that's going to tell the citation style how to format the reference. So you got to make sure you pick the correct thing. So in this case, we would select web page, and then you would start to fill this in, right? So if we do Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and then just a quick tip that if you're doing a reference where the author is a group, to make sure you put a comma after that. That way it's formatted as a group instead of like a first and last name. So I'll just fill in a couple more things here. The year's 2025, the title of the page is Managing Stress. And then we go here, right? And there's much more that we can fill out. And then we hit save. And we close this and we go back to our library. And then we'll see the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So that'll be in there as well. If we go back to summary, we'll kind of see that we're missing quite a bit here. So we would have to go to edit and just keep filling that out. And again, knowing your citation style and what's required is going to be important there. All right. I think I got all of the ones that we wanted to show. Let me pause for a moment. Are there any questions about how to get stuff into EndNote?
No, just a comment. Can one transfer references from EndNote to Zotero and vice versa, or no? You can?
Yes, you can. Um, if you go to, let's see, I think if you go to File Import, um, no, I'm sorry, export, because you're exporting, you're taking it out of there. Yes, you could do text file, and then the default will be this refman or RIS export. And then when you go into the other one, so let's say you're going from EndNote, right? And you wanted to go to Zotero, you would export this, right? You would save that file. And then in Zotero, you would import that RIS file with all the different references. And then the same for Zotero. You would save it as an RIS text file, and then you would import into EndNote. So the opposite. Yeah, you could go back, you can change.
And the second question is there any advantage of using both EndNote and Zotero, or
My feeling on that is no. I think it would be better to stick with one.
yeah, that's what yeah.
Yeah, because then it kind of competes which one to open or save things in. I think Zotero is better at adding references because it has the connector, which you're probably familiar with on the
Yeah,
browser,
yeah.
and I think that's what makes it that much better it for that particular use.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's why I've been using the Zotero. Yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, and I think right, if you're like a power user that likes to save a lot of PDFs and storage, I think the reason to maybe consider EndNote is that you wouldn't have to pay for storage. You know, you could store as much as you want in there and you don't have to pay for it. Whereas Zotero, if you start building a really beefy library and you have PDFs in there, eventually you'll have to pay for the storage. So that's kind of like you know, um, what you would have to consider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Um, okay. And we did manual entry. Okay. All right. Let's talk about staying organized and creating groups in EndNote specifically. So yeah, okay, this is where I want to be. Yeah. Okay. So here I have another library, right, where I've already created some groups. So if you want to further organize your work, you could create groups or subgroups, right? So to create a group, on the left-hand side under My Groups, you would select that and then right-click Create Group. So then here, this would be a group that stands on its own. So for example, if I did, I don't know, paper number one, right, that I'm working on. So then here, depending on what you've added, it's going to be empty right now. And if you want to add references to this, you could just select the reference or select multiple references and then just drag it into paper number one. Right. And now they live there. If I delete this group, it won't delete the references, right? Because they'll still be in all references. So you can do it like that. You can also do right click, and then add references to, and then you can add it to any of the groups that you've already created. You can also create group sets like I have here, for example, like I have this group set of diabetes, and then I have these subgroups of patient education and underserved populations. So to do this, you again go to My Groups, right click, and then create group set. And then here I'll just do test, and then you would select the group and then create little groups under it, right? So, test one. And then if you want to create another group, test two. So you have that there as well. So these are all the different ways that you can kind of organize your work. You can do it based on project or a course. If you're working on a dissertation and you have, multiple, chapters or sections. So it's going to depend. The other, one of the cool things, I usually don't show this, but is smart groups. Um, and the option is here. And what this will do is that you can tell EndNote to say, okay, anytime that I add a reference from PubMed or from another database, if it has this keyword in the title, I want it to be put into this group automatically, and it will automatically put it in the group for you. So I think that's one of the really neat features that it has. And then here you have your tags, right? So it's kind of another way of using groups, but just a different way to organize your stuff. So here, for example, like anything that has a red tag, these are things I've already read. Anything with a blue tag, need to read, to cite, and then they'll kind of anytime you click on it, it'll show you the ones that have been tagged with that. And to get stuff in here, again, it's the same thing. You could just drag and drop into a tag. Or for example, here, let's go to one that doesn't have, you would go here and then right click, manage tags, and then you can add which tag you want to add to it. And now it's there. So a lot of different neat features to help you stay organized and make it kind of visually nice. That's one of the newer features with EndNote 21 was these color-coded tags. Okay, so let me talk briefly about how to add full text or PDFs to the references. So here, if we go back to our empty library here, and let's say that we wanted to add the PDF for this reference, right? Like I mentioned before, you only got in the citation or reference information. So the second step here would be to select PDF and then attach PDF here. So here I have it already saved, right? It's gonna go to your computer to find the PDF, right? And it's going to add it in there. See how long it takes. And then it also provides you with that key AI takeaway, which is new for EndNote 2025. So if we go here to the right, there's like a little arrow here that pops out. Let me close the takeaway here for a moment. Oops. Okay, so there you'll see the entire PDF. And if you open it up, you'll kind of see the way you get the AI takeaways, you click on these little three these three little stars. And it'll give you that takeaway from the PDF that you have open. You're also able to annotate the PDFs, right? So if we wanted to add a note here, let's say, right? And if we add the note and we write, let's say we use this for introduction of maybe a paper you're working on, for example, right? And then we do that. We hit save here on the right and we close. And I'm going to show you why that's going to be helpful in a moment. We hit yes. We want to save all the things. And then now we'll see that there's a little paper clip here letting us know that there's an attachment to this reference. So that's one way to get stuff in here is by attaching the PDF. You can also, let's say that you have a folder of PDFs and you've never used a citation manager before. What you can do is you can select File, Import, Folder, and then you'll choose the folder, right? And then Import. And then it'll import all the PDFs, but it will also try to find the reference information for you. So that can be really helpful if you're new to using citation managers. So you see all of them came in with the PDF and with the references as well, which is great. This one didn't because it's not machine readable. It's a little bit older maybe. So in that case, you would have to go in here and fill out the information for this particular reference. But it works pretty well for a lot of PDFs that have a DOI or that are machine readable. So that's the other way that you can get stuff. And then an additional way to get stuff in here, we can do, let's pick a few of these. I don't know what luck we're going to have today, but EndNote has this feature called Find Full Text. So it's here on the left-hand side. Right, and they'll pop up here in a moment. So if we go back here to all references, we select, may not pick that one, that's our website. And then we're gonna go ahead and hit this right click here and then find full text. And it's gonna search and this is one of those things that you set up in advance that it's on the guide, that it would prompt you to log in with your FIU credentials. And it will search the FIU libraries databases for the full text of that article. Sometimes it works okay. Sometimes it doesn't. But it might be worth it. You see, like, yeah, You never know. This is something we're still working out, but it can still be helpful for things that are open access or freely available. And if it has the PDF and it finds it, it will automatically attach it to the reference. So yeah, sometimes it'll find the link, sometimes it won't find anything. But that's another way that you can get stuff in here. We didn't have too much of good luck today with that. Um, all right. Let's see. Oh, all right, so I'm almost done here with this part. So staying organized, part of that is the groups, but the other part is finding duplicates. So when you're searching, right, and if you're searching in multiple databases, you might have duplicates in your library. You want to make sure you get rid of those, just because when you are writing a paper, let's say you insert this one by Alan, right? And that's the reference you've been inserting the whole time. But then you have the duplicate somewhere and you're in your Word document and you enter this Alan, which is the same article, and Note doesn't know that it's the same when you're inserting it into the Word document. So it's going to treat it as two separate references. So you want to do some of that cleanup as you're working through, as you're working through any references you've added. So to do that, we would go to library and then find duplicates. And then it's going to pop up a side by side here. And you can decide which ones to keep in your library and which ones to kind of send to the trash. So if we do that very briefly here, right? So I'll just cancel this so that we don't spend too much time, but it'll move them all to the trash here. So for our Zotero users, right? What's the difference there? Zotero merges the duplicates, whereas EndNote, you have to select which one to keep. So that's one of those differences between the two. And then finally, part of staying organized is being able to search your library. So up in the top in EndNote, you're able to search any of the references. Of course, you can search by title, any keywords in the title, the author name, etc. But you can also search any of the notes that you made in the PDF. So let's see if hopefully I didn't remove that one to the trash. But I made that note about using something in the introduction. Ah, that's the one that went. Okay, that's okay. So any notes that you make, you can automatically search those as well, which is really nice. I did want to also mention that, let me go back to my library here, my real library, that if you have your EndNote Online account and you're synced, the AI tool, when you do the research assistant, you're able to also ask questions. Just like you would any of the other AI tools that summarize PDFs, you would be able to ask questions about the document and have kind of that conversation. So that's one of the new things with EndNote25. Um, okay. All right, and I kind of mentioned how to edit stuff in here. I mean, the fields are live, so you are able to edit in here. And like I mentioned before, getting that journal's term list is going to be really helpful. To switch the journal titles from full title, like this one, for example, Medical Science Monitor. If I went to AMA or Vancouver, for example, that does the journal abbreviation. Because I've added the journal's term list, it automatically changed it to the abbreviated title. So it's worth it to do that. All right, so now I'm gonna pause and Ramses is gonna show us how to use EndNote in Word, which is kind of like the magic.
Okay, let me share here. I do have my EndNote. Let me open my Word. Let me move this around. Sorry. Okay, so when you download EndNote, it does create special tab here in the toolbar. So this is my Word document. I have something that I have written, and I am tied here through EndNote. And you can go back from your Word to EndNote directly, and it goes in there, or you could always do it, the old-fashioned way, going in, back and forth. But yeah, it will allow you to go directly back to back to Word. Let me see. Where do I start here? Okay, so we'll go to EndNote. I just wanted to show you that it does come preloaded with a lot, like hundreds and hundreds of citation styles. So you could always look at them here. And these are, ones that I've been saving little by little, the ones that you might tend to use the most. But if you go to, to your Open Style Manager, then you will see here all of the different citation styles that you can use. And for example, if you have something you haven't used yet, but you do want to keep it, let's say APA 7th annotated, you could always click on it, and then that will appear next time you have your citation style. It'll appear, it's sort of like your favorite or most recently used. You could also, as I was saying before, change citation styles as you go along in case didn't remember to do it. And, just a sort of like, breathe easy, you haven't ruined anything yet. Let's talk about inserting citations into Word. So let me go back to my Word document. And for example, I want to add a citation at the end of the sentence or statement. I go into insert citation. Now this links me back to EndNote. And here I can look by either I can search by some of the words in the title. I can say by the author, that's back here in your EndNote. So I'm gonna see by Marcilli to find any. Okay, so this is going to be my citation. I can choose when I click insert, I can choose whether or not I want the full citation, excluding author, excluding the include or exclude the year, or insert only in bibliography. So I'm just going to insert just a regular citation. And after it's done thinking about it with a little bubble, you'll see that here. Well, I did have it too close, so okay. So here is the authors, and here it already starts building your bibliography page. So it does it automatically. Now, you'll notice, as I was saying before, for example, you have the style here. So here's JAMA AMA. Let's say I realize that, oh my God, I'm supposed to do it in APA 7th edition. If I just click here, it will automatically, in a second or so, after it's done thinking about it, yes, it will then, put it back into, the APA edition. Now, sometimes, as I was saying, you could exclude different things. So, for example, if I am doing, you have one of those according to type of things. So, if I wanted to add my citation here, well, I know I'm looking for the author would be Ramsey. So I click enter citation. I'm going to search for Ramsey. Find. And then I'll just insert by excluding the author. So after he thinks about it for a second, boom, you have your year date, and then bam, another citation gets added to your bibliography. It's pretty awesome. One thing to keep in mind is that sometimes, or not sometimes, but it might be better to if you also have like a word only document for this, and not with the setup with the citations, because sometimes you could edit and manage citations, because for example, if I were to just if I wanted to delete this last citation and I just clicked on like the back button, it will not really happen. It'll be best to edit and manage citations from here, because if I try to go back, it will freak out, make a mess. It's not a good idea. So that is totally something that you could just sort of work and edit your citations or delete them altogether. So, remove citation from here. So that is much better, or actually, that is the best way to do it instead of trying to go back and do it through like Word or Microsoft means. So you can do that. Now, one of the things that you can do also is a direct quote from a PDF. So let's say, just to make it easier, at at the bottom here, I wanted to quote a PDF, so I can go back to EndNote either from here or from here. I'll be fancy and do it from here. And uh, for example, I do have here one PDF that I could open. So if I open with, oh, sorry. Oh, where did it go?
You can click PDF on the top right corner next to edit,
That's true. Yeah.
and
I,
then the little arrow popping out, maybe.
I did, well, it was here.
Yeah, see the paperclip.
Okay, is it? Oh, I seem to have lost the PDF that I just had here. Wait, Daisy, what can I?
Yeah, I think it got removed somehow because now it says now there's no paperclip on there. Do you have another one?
I don't.
Oh, it's adding one in, it looks like. Yeah, you can try that one. That one just opened, Jacobson, on there's a paperclip it's in the middle of the list, down at the bottom. Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
So if I open the where
Yeah, I think it's just hiding. But if you want, you can click on that little arrow pointing out. It'll open it up into a
this one?
bigger, yeah. Mm-hmm. There you
Oh,
go.
okay. Huh. Yes. Well, sometimes I think I double click where I shouldn't have. So, anyways, I do have my PDF here, and let's just say I just want to quote anything here. I could do this, then hit the little quotation mark here, and then you go back to your Word document, Logma, no hands, and it does it automatically. Not only does it do that, it once again adds it to your bibliography page. Okay. Now you could also do this. Um, for example, and not just in Word, but it also, if you do Word, Microsoft Word Online, um, for example, this is Microsoft Word Online, and you could always go to references. As you see, I already have mine set up and Note, but you can go to citations, add more add-ins, and then EndNote would appear there. You would download it, or include it into your Microsoft, sorry, Word Online, and then just use Notes. You sync it to your EndNote, and then you'll be able to use, and it works the same way. You have your Bay 7th, you have your, different styles. You can find, other styles to use. Um, you can manage your citations, depending on, if you already had them documented. So it works, very much the same. Also, you could do the same thing in Google Docs. So for Google Docs, You can go to extensions and add-ons, and when you click on get add-ons, you will, EndNote Cite while you write will be part of your add-ons. As you see, I've already have it selected. So you can open that and, it'll populate with with your sources. In this case, I haven't done that. So, but it would populate in, with your sources. And now I'm going to leave it back to, Daisy. We're going to talk about collaboration, and anything else you may want to add.
Okay. Let me share really quick as we're in the home stretch here. Yeah, and when you want to use you know, Google Docs because you're, collaborating with somebody on a document, and you get one of the add-ons that Cite while you write, it'll just ask you to log in with your EndNote online account. So that's one of the instances where you're going to need that online account that you create when you first install EndNote and create the library. I did want to mention too, because I know we got the question earlier about using which one. So I think primarily you should have one that you use. But I know that I work with other people that use Zotero, even though I use EndNote. So there might be cases where you may have both. So I kind of just wanted to address that because I'm working with a group that uses Zotero, so I have Zotero and a Zotero account, you know. Um, so you may have a situation where you have both. So as far as sharing, whether you want to share an entire library or you want to share a group of references, um, first you're going to have your library synced to the EndNote online account in order to share it. If you want to share the entire library, which I think is, if you're okay with people having access to your library for a limited time, it's probably the easiest thing, because then they can see the entire library. It's a little bit easier for them and they don't have to go on the EndNote Online Classic. But if you select File, and then if you go to Share, this will share the entire library, right? And then so you would add email addresses of the people that you want to share with, and you would select what they can do. Can they just look at the library or can they add stuff to the library and make any changes? So you can do that. If somebody shares a library with you, then you would go to Open Shared Library. And then it'll prompt you to open the shared library if someone has shared one with you. The other option that you have is to share a group of references. So to do that, for example, if I wanted to share this group here and I would right click, I would do share group. And then it will be the same process, where you would have this pop up. You would put the emails of the people that you want to send this to, and then they will get an invitation to do that. So it will look exactly the same as the share. It's just taking a moment here because I probably have a lot of groups here and a lot of things in this library. So if we go back here to the PowerPoint, I can quickly show you what that looks like. So the person you're sharing with will get an email saying, hey, they want to share this group with you or they want to share this library with you. And then they'll be prompted to log into their EndNote account, which then syncs to their EndNote library. And then if someone is sharing a group with you, you will see groups shared by others. So I think this is Ramses's library that we're looking at, and this is a group I shared with him. So then he would select here and then click on the hyperlink here, and it'll take him to the EndNote Online Classic where he can see the references that I have shared with him. When you're working in Word, you're able to also pull from shared groups. So this is just letting you know that it's possible. If you are working with a group with EndNote, we're happy to kind of meet with you and make sure that the group is set up properly. And then this is what it looks like in the EndNote Online Classic. So if someone is sharing a group with me, I'll be able to see the references on the online version. So there's that. And of course, just a reminder that we do have the EndNote guide that has all these steps that we have talked about, how to contact EndNote support because they're great if you have any problems, and then we're here to help as well. And I think that's it.